What's up with ITSW 1307 Introduction to Databases online? Okay, typically it's going to be in D2L here, and you'll always have these particular weekly modules within a module. All right, each module here, because we're just an 8-week course, is a module. Each week represents a module, and then within each module, you'll find that you'll have a weekly nugget, Cengage links, and a team discussion link. Alright, so let's just roll in and come here, for example. We'll go over, or I'll let you know which course learning outcomes that we're going to be working on here. We're going to be working on 1, 2, 3, and 5 of what you're supposed to learn in our course. Alright. I'll have a weekly video nugget here. I'll basically tell you what it is that we're doing during the week, and then if there are any issues, like for instance something that I think that's very difficult, I'll include it here, or something very difficult from last week, I'll include it here as well and talk about it, perhaps show you, demonstrate, etc. So here's your typical spiel. Alright, I'll have these things, they're called deep links. They basically link to another LMS. D2L is a learning management system, an LMS. And this will link to the publisher's LMS. This way you only need to learn how to navigate D2L. You don't need to learn how to navigate the publisher's stuff. And here's a textbook project. This allows you to download something, a file from Cengage, and you'll be working on it and reading along as you're working on it. Okay. You'll also have an additional project to do that reinforces this reading. You also have training to do. This training is basically a simulation. It shows you, it's like watching a video, shows you how to go about doing certain things in Access. And then it gives you an opportunity to do it, both in practice and actual mode. Practice will break it out per section of the multiple steps that you have to do, and in actual mode you need to do everything on your own via memory. And you get credit on it. You get unlimited amount of times to do it. That's the way I usually set it up to a due date. And then your exam is basically off this simulation. It's a simulation exam. Okay, these are typically easy 100s. And as you can see up here, I tell you about it. I give you the best of 3 attempts on your textbook project, best of 3 on the additional project, simulated training unlimited. The exam, you only get 1 attempt, but there's no time limit on it. So utilize that to your advantage. And then there's also a concepts quiz down here. Okay, I give you a best of 2 events, 2 attempts, no time limit. So in other words, it's an open notes quiz. Literally, you can come to a question, you don't know the answer to it, just use your book. Okay, and it's digital, so it's very easy to look up. And that's your typical week here. Okay, there's no password to access any of this stuff. Okay, you just need a password to obviously enter into D2L, and they're due by the end of the week. And for if some reason you didn't finish something, you have an additional 7 days to do it with a late penalty, unless it's excused. If it's an excusable reason, you know, an unforeseen event, if you document it properly according to the syllabus, there won't be a late penalty. Okay, that's the typical spiel of ITSW 1307 Introduction to Databases. 8 weeks to cover all the material that you should learn in class, all the course learning outcomes. And that'll be on your syllabus. All of them will be listed on the syllabus. Here. As you are rolling through it, be sure that you are always clicking on the submodules. That'll let you see any instructions and directions that I have for you. As you can see here, You can't see any textual abstracts. As another note, as you're working through these things, okay, there'll be team discussions for you to have access to. And in these team discussions, you'll post things to the team discussions that you have. In other words, if you're working on how to do this or how to do that, you can literally ask. And you can even post your file up here in D2L. That'll give everyone access to it. And I wouldn't recommend working on it, but they can give you textual advice on what to do, because each student who downloads a particular file must submit that particular file back into Cengage. And if there's anything weird going on in terms of sharing files and sharing work, Cengage doesn't allow the submission. So just be aware of that. But at least what you've posted, your friends can work on it, and then you can use your original file to work on the stuff that they worked on to help you, in other words. Or if you finished it, you can post it there for other people to see so that they can use that file to work backwards from. If you said, yes, I just submitted this and I made a 100, because you submitted it, and it's your file, they cannot submit your file. So no one's going to get a free ride off of the work that you share. And by doing this, the great thing is, regardless of what a great golfer you are, or baseball player that you are, by sharing your work and helping others, when you learn to explain things critically to others on how to do something, it really does just make you a better baseball player, a better golfer. So be aware of that in terms of your personal incentives to help out your teammates. And then, of course, I'm going to be looking at these team discussions that only your teammates can see, and that only when you reply, it only goes to them, so that I know where you guys are at. I can give you guys help, and I do reply to them myself as well when I run across them. And just because I replied to it before you may reply to it, your teammates, go ahead and reply to them as well, because I'm looking and replying to them based upon the lens and instructions of your professor. And you doing it as a peer is definitely beneficial. That's called the wisdom of the crowd, and we all have that today when we perhaps read Reddit or whatever it is that we do, is that when we hear advice from multiple individuals and know where they're coming from, it just helps us to have greater resources available to learn. Alright, and that is what's up with ITSW 1307 online. See you online, guys. Take care.